Hello, I'm just going to show you how to make a bubble pot which then can be used to create a sculpture, something like this. Okay, here we go. Right. First of all, when you're creating something like this, we have got to have something to rest it on between stages, because it's soft clay. Once you've got the ball shape, if you then just put it down on a flat surface, inevitably you're just going to end up with a ball with a flat bottom, which who wants a flat bottom? So take a piece of clay, roughly this sort of quantity, roll it out in a very rough form to a sausage like this, then crudely just turn it round, slap it together so that you've got a nice donut shape, okay? And that then will be what we will rest our pot onto. But of course there is a danger that if we did that, if this was our pot in progress, put that on there, it's going to stick. So put a piece of old I don't know, shopping bag, something made of plastic, cling film would do as well, around that there, so that then there is a barrier between your work and the donut that's going to act as a resting place for it while it's under construction. Right, the next thing is 2 pieces of clay, roughly the same size, but it really doesn't matter that much whether they are exact, just roughly the same size, and start to manipulate them into a crude ball, something like this. There we go. Clay doesn't want to be too wet for this, otherwise it just sticks to your hands when you're doing this. So you have to get it to a stage where you can pat it into shape and it doesn't come off onto your hands. Right? And that is perfectly good enough, like that. Okay? Then take one of the balls, put your thumb in, not all the way through. I can feel that I've still got maybe a couple of centimetres, an inch or so before getting to the bottom, and then start to play it out like this. Then once you've got enough room, put both thumbs in. There we go. Until we get to that sort of shape. So maybe something between a centimetre and 15 mil, half an inch or so thickness. But again, it really doesn't matter how even it is. All you're doing is creating a very crude flintstone bowl. And then same on the other side, the other bowl. Same process. There we go. Okay. Try to keep it as roughly even as you can, but certainly precision is not in any way necessary at this point. One of the reasons it doesn't matter too much whether it's thick is because the process that I use is that once I get it to the right stage, I carve into it. So thickness is not particularly a problem because I'm going to be cutting away a lot of the clay. In fact, in some ways it's good, so there's no danger of actually accidentally going through into the cavity where you don't really want to. Right, so we've now got those, the 2 flintstone bowls. Then a brush, some water, and then there. Don't be gentle with it, it's quite good if you can actually get the brush marks into it, because that helps to key the clay together. Then open it up so that they are roughly the same size, put them together and squeeze, not too much, and at this point then start to gently seal over the joint. Don't press too hard, else it'll collapse. There you go. Right, so now I've got a bubble in there. The air is trapped. Now the air that's in there, apart from the fact that you now have got a bigger object with less clay, because a lot of it is just fresh air, the air that's in there is under pressure. So it now acts as a support for when you start to shape this into the ball that you're trying to create. So now you need a specialist piece of equipment, mixing spoon of wood, or just a flat piece of wood would equally do the trick, and start to give it a good spanking. Never spank in one place for too long. Keep it moving. Keep it moving in your hand. It is quite heavy. You might find that you need to rest occasionally. You notice I've got my arm tucked into my body so that I've got support. Trying to hold it out like that to do it will put a tremendous amount of pressure on your arm very, very quickly. Keep going. Then when it's a bit more than I think I'm going to actually just use my hands now to just help it along. Any real divots in it like that, I'm just going to over. And the good thing about now transferring to your hands is that the warmth from your hands helps to dry it out a little bit more. Because at the moment it's extremely soft and floppy. So trying to get an accurate shape will be virtually impossible. So keep manipulating it in my hands for a fair old while. Keep going. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Right, then take your specialist piece of equipment number 2, the donut, and place the crude ball shape onto it like that. Then what we call for specialist equipment number 3, Lynn's air dryer. But you can use your own air dryer, it doesn't have to be Lynn's. And then now while you're doing this, it's important to keep it moving because you want any drying out to be even. If you get particular areas that are much drier than other areas, you'll have all kinds of problems. It'll deform, it'll start to crack. So keep it moving. If you've got a turntable, obviously that makes it even easier because you can just keep turning it on the turntable. Otherwise, just keep doing this. Right, I've spent the past half an hour working on this. I've been passing it around in my hands, like so that I'm continuing to get the ball shape, but at the same time using the heat, as I said earlier, from my hands to continue to dry out the clay. But it's now starting to be quite a bit firmer. Can you hear that? A bit more like a drum. And occasionally play the air dryer on it as well. Now we've reached a point where we have to start thinking about some other issues. Now can you see, if I just take this close to the camera between my fingers, that we are starting to get a crack? Yeah? Now, if you think about it, that's inevitable. And it will depend upon the ambient temperature of the room that you're working in and how warm your hands are and so on, and how much you use the air dryer. because what's happening is that the ball of clay is now creating a crust where it's drier on the outside than it is on the inside. So it's starting to shrink, as clay does. As it loses moisture, it shrinks. So the crust on the outside is now shrinking faster than the interior. And because of the air inside is trapped, it's getting under increasing pressure. So there's only one way to deal with this, and that is to go for specialist equipment number 4, which is a brush. But the key to this is don't use the brush end, you're going to use the other end, and you're going to gently pierce the ball. And then go to the other side and do the same thing. So now the air can actually be released, and the air pressure now inside the ball is the same as the atmospheric pressure outside. And you should find that then as you continue to work on it, those cracks will slowly disappear. If you've got any stubborn cracks, like that one is starting to look quite severe, don't be scared to actually just get a piece of clay that is quite moist and force it into the crack, just like you do when you're decorating and your plaster's got a bit of a crack in it. Get the old polyfiller in and it over, and then smooth it in, and that will slowly become invisible as you continue to work on it with your hands. So you're using the bowl of your hand shape on each side to continue to get that shape more and more spherical. Okay. Now, if we imagine that we carried on doing this maybe for about another half an hour, so this does require some patience to get to this stage, then hopefully that will now be quite firm. You shouldn't have any cracks because you've reduced the pressure inside, and at that point you then can sit the ball down on your rest that you've created and start to think about how are you going to create shapes on this, where you're going to put textures, where you're going to, if I use this one as an example, where you're actually going to start to dig into it and remove material, where you're actually going to pierce all the way through, if you choose to do that. You don't actually have to, and so on. So really what I've shown you so far is the prep, so that you're then in a position to sculpt into it. Okay, happy sculpting. Bye bye.